his exemption was approved. Great. Keep doing what you're doing. Then he received communication saying that the exemption, which had previously been approved, was revoked. It was revoked, which seems odd. It seems odd that you would approve someone's religious exemption request and then take it away sometime later. And I'm going to tell you why this happened, because it's ridiculous. So the reason that my husband's religious exemption request was approved and then revoked was because he was told it would provide the organization with, quote, undue hardship in order to accommodate his religious beliefs. Undue hardship in order to accommodate. So I wanted to talk about this for just a minute because, as I mentioned, he has natural immunity to COVID-19. Natural immunity has been shown in multiple studies to not only be as good as vaccinated immunity or artificially induced immunity, but to be stronger. There was a study out of Israel that showed that natural immunity was, 6 times more robust than vaccinated immunity. I mean, this is also science. This is something that virologists have known for a long time. Typically, natural immunity is stronger than vaccinated immunity. So there's an unscientific element from the get-go there. But the accommodations that my husband expressed, by the way, that he was perfectly willing to take part in or continue taking part in, because he's done this the entire pandemic, wearing all the PPE, no matter if you think that masks are BS or face shields are ridiculous or, gloves, whatever. I know that's standard in the medical field, but he made sure that it was clear that, just because he declined to take the vaccine because he had a religious objection to it, he was happy to take part in anything else, whether it was weekly testing, whether it was wearing PPE, whether it was not going to work when he was sick. And he also communicated, and this I think is just funny because the left, it doesn't even have to be the left, the other side, the pro-vaccine mandators don't really have an answer to this. He also expressed that, remember, the patient can get the COVID-19 vaccine if they're afraid of getting COVID. Now, of course, you and I know that if you get the COVID-19 vaccine, it's not exactly what it was promised to be originally. But it is a funny point to make because there's no response to it really. But he wasn't pithy. He wasn't political about any of this. And he's worked through the entire pandemic with COVID patients since the beginning. As I said, he used to be a contractor with the Border Patrol. And I mean, we know that COVID-19 positive patients were coming through the border before we even knew that COVID-19 was so widespread in our country. I mean, he's been working with active COVID cases for a year and a half. He worked in an emergent setting with COVID patients throughout both waves. I mean, this is what he did. He worked with these patients, and this is before the vaccine was available, then before it was widely available. And these pro-vaccine mandators were perfectly fine, quote unquote, quote, putting him at risk and putting the patients at risk when he wasn't vaccinated, when he was caring for them during the last year and a half. But now that they have this vaccine that they can offer, it's widely available. Anybody who wants it can get it. Healthcare provider, patient, anyone who wants it can get it. Suddenly he's unsafe to himself and to the patient to take care of people because he won't follow their mandate, because he declines to participate in something that he feels is a moral abomination because it's associated with an aborted baby. The hypocrisy of this. I know I've talked about this hypothetically, but it hits home in a completely different way when it impacts your family. When your husband tells you that he's actually lost his job. It's not just a fight that you're fighting, that he's actually lost his job because of the vaccine mandate after he's worked for a year and a half, despite the fact that he has natural immunity, notwithstanding the fact that he's willing to take all the precautions that we're told work, which is why there's mask mandates in California, a statewide mask mandate now. It's quite something to see this fight brought to your own front door.